Again, this is our first panel on rising cities, and I'll let you gentlemen introduce yourself. Lou, if you want to start down at the far left.
My name's Lou Molitor. I'm the president of the Kenosha Area Chamber of Commerce. I've been with the chamber for 9 years, lived in Kenosha all my life, and very excited about where the city and the county is right now.
My name is Pollocoff. I'm the village administrator for the village of Pleasant Prairie. I've been there 32 years, and things are finally starting to happen.
Good morning. My name is Franke. I'm the chief financial officer for Uline. We're a catalog company. You've possibly seen one of the 100 million catalogs that we publish a couple of times a year, but we are headquartered now. Our world headquarters is in Pleasant Prairie, and I've been with Uline now for 17 years as chief financial officer.
And I'm Franke. I'm with Zilber Property Group. We're a strong project partner with the city of Oak Creek, doing a lot of the master development services for Oakview Business Park and Drexel Town Square, and doing some work on the lakefront projects as well.
Hi everyone, good morning. My name is Andrew Vickers. I'm the city administrator for the city of Oak Creek. Really happy to share our story with you this morning. It's very easy for us to talk about. And really what we've coined as the Oak Creek Renaissance is the theme of our presentation. The Drexel Town Square being just one of the very initial chapters of the book we're writing in the city of Oak Creek. So thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. And I will, full disclosure, I'm an Oak Creek resident, so I appreciate everything that's going on in the city. There's a lot of knowledge about development and building between these 5 gentlemen up here. We'll have a question and answer session afterward, so if you could save your questions for them, that would be great. With that, I'll turn it over to Andrew and Nate, and you guys can talk a little bit about Oak Creek.
Excellent. I know folks are probably generally familiar with the city of Oak Creek, a southern suburb of Milwaukee, directly bordering Milwaukee. And it's a community of about 36,000 people, extreme, immense, rapid growth, population-wise, commercially, and the retail sector. We called the theme for today the Oak Creek Renaissance because it is really just that. Oak Creek was rightly situated for this economic development boom that we're experiencing. A significant stretch of I-94 runs through our community. The airport is essentially our northern border. We have, as we'll talk about a little bit later, we have reopened our lakefront, so we have a huge asset in the lake which we've reclaimed for public access and future development. And we're just uniquely situated in the state, as you know, with proximity to Illinois and all of the, we call it planes, trains, and automobiles. There's always a plane, there's always a train, or there's always an automobile there also. So you probably have noticed that since you moved into the community. So, so jumping right into it, we have no secret sauce. That development based on those assets that I mentioned, the transportation related specifically, Oak Creek was prime, and there was this pent up demand in the south suburban area for this retail and commercial presence. What the leadership of the community decided to do is harness that potential and make it happen on their terms and on their timeline. So 10 years from now, this probably could have happened more organically in the city of Oak Creek, but we've really turned the new leaf and focused it on proactive economic development. There's certain things that any community can do to position themselves for this type of development. These are attitudinal things. These are leadership issues. These are developing a risk tolerance that may otherwise not be, rooted in local government. Those are things all communities can do to position themselves for this type of development, being friendly with the business community. Oak Creek's playbook is a little bit unique, and I want to go through a series of things that have led up to what it is we've been able to do with launching with Drexel Town Square. The biggest thing that we had on our side was our unique partnerships, public-private partnerships. These are real public-private partnerships, not like every community says, We have strong public-private partnerships, and that means we try to cut our red tape. We try to be less bureaucratic. We're really friendly. We'll meet with you anytime. We have legal partnerships, legal business relationships, and Nate's going to get into those. So jumping in right into it. Leading up, what those who don't know the general story. Another significant infrastructure component or event that occurred was the opening of a Drexel interchange. I've heard anecdotally that this was the first brand new interchange to the I-94 system in several years or whatever the case may be. So through some political leadership and actually a partnership with the city of Franklin, the DOT really likes to build things when local governments pay for half. And that is their policy. If you want to interchange on your timeline, we're cool with that if there's a demonstrated need and you pay 50%. The city of Franklin and Oak Creek stepped up to make that happen. This was all preceding to what we've been able to do in Drexel Town Square, and that would not have occurred. We also had a really unique multi-party agreement to swap land. The MML, Northwestern Mutual, the county, the school district, the city, and West Park were involved in a significant land swap to help basically ready property for development in the city of Oak Creek. This all actually resulted in NML owning the property that they have since sold to IKEA, which we'll talk about a little bit later too. And in 2012, West Park purchased the Delphi property, which would later become Drexel Town Square. Another significant thing in 2012, the city decided to relocate and build a new City Hall library civic center. That is a state-of-the-art facility that I get to go to work in every day from a technological standpoint, from a workspace standpoint. It is the epicenter of Drexel Town Square. Huge traffic generator to support our local businesses, and Nate, you'd agree, it also set an architectural standard, I think, for what we were looking for. There'll be a slide on that a little bit later. It's pretty sexy. What we also did, and I think it was with a lot of foresight, is all of these things were culminating into what we wanted to do in Drexel Town Square. So along with dusting off our economic development image, we dusted off our city image and completely rebranded the city of Oak Creek from a marketing perspective, logo perspective. We have a brand manager and a communications manager who's very firm on maintaining our brand. And we utilize that in many venues. And in 2014, now keep in mind when you look at these slides later, that's little over 2.5, 3 years ago. The progress made in Drexel Town Square in that amount of time is really sensational. We also have, which Nate will talk about a little bit later, our first business in Oakview Business Park, another relationship we have with West Park. Construction began last year on a park, like I mentioned earlier, to reclaim our lakefront. And for all your spouses, you can relay that we're right on track with the IKEA store opening in summer of 18. So, Delphi plant shuttering was really critical to the development of Drexel Town Square. Obviously, that is the footprint. That was a unique situation, and the city made a strategic decision to, this will probably drive you in the room mad that a local government would take this action, but we strategically rezoned the property after the shuttering of the plant to agricultural zoning, such that nobody could occupy the building to do cold storage or something along those lines. So that was really strategic, and we were able to then get the project in the hands of our development partner in West Park. The Drexel Avenue interchange, there's a rendering of our, not even a rendering, that's a photo of where I call home mostly. The Civic Center, the City Hall on the right-hand side and the library on the left-hand side. And then just a quick peek at our rebranding effort and our new logo. Obviously infusing in the lake, the lake asset with the water and the logo. Turn it over to Nate. Nate's going to talk about that unique legal partnership and business partnership, but that just goes above and beyond what you hear and expect when you hear public-private relationships and partnerships.
Thanks, Andrew. Actually, partnerships are really an important theme of overall development. We've had the public-private partnership that Andrew's hinted at. There's all the partnerships that really had to come together for this to be successful. West Park, as the arm of the DC Energy Corporation, is in charge of doing a lot of development as it's related to the agreement that was negotiated in 2003 for the project. And what they need is they have a very small development staff. So one of the first things that had to happen there was they had to select a development partner to go forward that has a larger development staff and be able to execute on all these different projects. So Zilber stepped in right off the bat after competing against two other project players that also talked to West Park about wanting to do development in the area. And what we really came in and did was, like, we've got this $20 million and we need to make sure that's invested appropriately throughout the various entities that are involved in the various private partnerships.
That was the small investment that they did in the city.
And another thing is that is really beneficial to the city of Oak Creek is they do have about $5.25 million annually that comes in as a result of that power plant that's there. And there's a lot of discussion at the city say, hey, what do we want to use these funds for? Do we want to use it for general operations? Do we want to use it to make this place successful? And after a lot of very careful, critical dialogue among city staff and the elected officials, they made what we think is the right choice to say, hey, we want to use this funds to make this special, do things at the Drexel Town Square and other areas such as Lake Vista and move these projects forward. So again, you said one of the projects was Oakview Business Park, and this was really one of the areas where that complicated land assemblage really came into play. So we had to have basically a land stop between the school district for Oak Creek and Franklin and MMSD, and then also another private party to get Oakview Business Park online. So to have all those players be able to come to the table and have that happen. What had happened originally was MMSD owned a large portion of this farm area because they wanted to use it as a sludge farm. Obviously, nobody wanted that to happen, so there's some strategic things that the city had done historically at that site, such as creating a public park that we're able to integrate into that development project, and then also making sure that there was an opportunity to appropriately get this land segment to match up and become a good business park in that area. So one of the things that had to happen was, due to it was a farmland area, there was a lot of grading that had to happen, all the sewer, water infrastructure had to happen. So there's a significant TIF district that had to come out for the city in order for all this infrastructure work to be advanced to make this a park that would be successful and also profitable for all parties involved. Also, we were fortunate to get a T grant from the state for one of the users in the park. That was also very beneficial from the public-private partnership side. And due to the large TIF district, we also had a profit sharing arrangement of $5,000 per acre of land sold goes to the city of Oak Creek on every transaction as part of our legal agreement with the city. And I think one thing that's really important to note here is we've really seen a lot of good owner-user activity in this park. Stella and Chewy's kicked it off. A company called AdTech Medical followed behind from the city of Racine with the relocation there. And we have really continued strong owner-user demand in that park to date. And Drexel Town Square was obviously a very complicated project and was only successful because of the public-private partnership. There we had acquired the land originally for about $8 million. A large portion of that, the city stepped up and gave a $2 million loan for that. And that was critical to get that asset under control and starting to be redeveloped. We also had about a $23.5 million infrastructure TID district there, as well as $15 million in developer incentives that would go to various companies like Wired Phelan to get a really complex Main Street environment there, and also Emerald Grove, Rick Barrett's Barrett Visionary Development Company, to get some luxury apartments that were atypical of the southern metro marketplace and really make this a special development. Again, here, due to the city being very actively financially involved in the project, we have a profit sharing formula for that. 30% of the transaction here goes to the city, so they are rewarded for their participation. And I think as this project moves forward, this really shows that TIF works. We had a pre-development value here of about $7 million. It's going to be about $200 million when it's all said and done. And that's because of that big investment that the city of Oak Creek made up front.
So we wanted to obviously have our first ever central business district, our first ever downtown, and that is what Drexel Town Square has become. But I wanted to run through some slides to show you the progression of that development. And we had an ideal postcard image of what we wanted our main downtown to be. We've infused, as we'll go over just a little bit later, with all the projects in Drexel Town Square, very much a new urbanism, mixed use development with open spaces and density. Here it is in 2000. I think it shuttered its doors in 08, 07, as I mentioned earlier. Let you see the progression here play out. Go back on that too. A little quick. Cleared site for development, and that is actually a Woodman store there, the big box that you see to the south. That really, after the city was able to raise the property or have the property raised, that really kicked off the traffic generation and the development potential for this area, with Woodman's opening its store in 08. If you wanted to talk a little bit on this one today.
Sure. So one of the probably most complicated things about Drexel Town Square is what a large site it was. It's an 85-acre site, which is wonderful. But as we looked at this, the city, rightfully so, really wanted a good portion of that site to be a dense new urbanism development. But from the beginning, we knew there'd probably be a little bit, too much of that type of development if we take all 85 acres and do that type of project on it. So what we did is we really did our homework and started to take a look at what other things could fit in here. So we came up with a hybrid concept. So you notice on the right-hand side of the graphic up there, it's a lot like many other traditional suburban projects. You've got a big box anchor there with the Meyer store, and you've got several outlots around the outside. You've got the Panda Express, Meyer Fuel Center. There's going to be a couple multi-tenant retail buildings, Water Street Brewery located there, Chick-fil-A. And so that really was a critical portion of the project to drive traffic here, to then focus on some of the other aspects of the project that were more exciting and more related to that neo-urbanism development. When you get to the middle part of the project, that's where you have a lot of the high intense uses. You've got some mixed use retail area, a hotel, and the City Hall and Library, which the City of Oak Creek did a wonderful job on developing and really making that a cornerstone of the project.
This is the City Hall here. This is the hotel development. This is the Main Street retail with apartments above. This would be the Freighter Hospital out here, and then multifamily, high-end luxury, multifamily. We'll give you a little more imagery very quickly later on.
And one of the things that really was critical in kicking this off, another partner that deserves some credit, is the Urban Land Institute was in town and was doing a lot of research on what should be done at the lakefront, and Andrew will talk more on that. And one night on the way back to the hotel, they just happened to be looking outside the bus window and said, "What's going on with this old Delco plant over here?" The conversation at the time was, we're really still trying to figure that out. There's a 50-page report down on the lakefront, and there's a paragraph that is that big on it that said, make this project the highest priority of the city. And through that effort and that backing of a national organization saying, hey, this is important, it really helps spur that type of project in the city of Oak Creek. And another thing that's critical too is that these citizens of Oak Creek really deserve an applause for what they have done to support this project. From the beginning, we were really involved in going out and meeting with the citizens, having public meetings for input and saying, what do you want to see here? The city of Oak Creek did a great job of conducting a community-wide survey and saying, how can we improve the community? What would you like to see happen with this? And there's a lot of feedback, a lot of focus on we want more restaurants in this town. And as I go through some of the slides in a few minutes here, you'll see that the project has been very successful in drawing a lot of high-end name restaurants down to this area that are traditionally only located in urban areas of Milwaukee. So again, just really want to thank our other project partners here. Rick Barrett's company, Barrett Visionary Development, developed Emerald Grove. Phase 1 was 167 luxury apartments. That opened up in August of 2016. They were fully leased in February. So if that doesn't show the demand in Oak Creek, a 6-month lease up on a project of that size, I think that's very significant. He's looking at kicking off Phase 2, about another 240 to 250 units this summer. And there'll also be a Phase 3 located just south of the project bounds, all an investment of about 500 to 600 units when he's all said and done. Forge and Flare, this is done by Wired Development, it's Blair Williams, and then Phelan Development, Sean Phelan. They did a nice job with about 33,000 square feet of ground retail. They have about 62 apartments above. And they brought the restaurant names of Pizza Man, Bel Air Cantina, the Chocolate Factory, GD's Cupcakes, all down to this area of town. And it really satisfied that community need of more restaurants in Oak Creek. Fredericton and Medical College, Wisconsin, they're developing a beautiful 115,000 square foot facility. It's going to be a nice draw and a nice southern expansion for them in the metro Milwaukee area. And they're also going to have a large parking deck that will not only serve their facility, but also help for special events provide overflow parking for the overall project. Valentine Coffee, another name, Rick Bear was instrumental in getting these guys to come here and not only be entrepreneurial and opening up a second location for them, but putting a neat flavor on it. Rather than just being a coffee shop, they kind of developed a wine bar and a craft beer selection at this location that'll be nicely located off of Town Square that just opened up earlier this week. And Town Place Suites by Marriott, this is actually the first of this type of hotel in Wisconsin that is not a reflag. There is a Brookfield location that was reflagged from a different type of hotel. It's going to be 112 rooms, and that's going to open up in September, and that's right off the Town Square. So their front door really nicely plays off and just generates even more activity in that Town Square area. Zune, this has been another nice win by the city of Oak Creek for the project. There's about a 3 to 3.5 acre parcel just south of City Hall. And this company is an international company located in Switzerland. And one thing that their employees really wanted is they wanted to be in a high activity area, with a lot of dense development like Drexel Town Square. And the city's been working with them for about 4 or 5 years now, and they've now taken their initial steps to get going on development in the near future on that site and bring an office component to the project as well. And Associated Bank, another nice, well-known name, Acre, is going to be in some of the retail buildings in the northern part of the project. And another nice win, City of Oak Creek. When they originally bought their site, they bought about 7 acres of land, but as they, fought through the project, they made a very strong, positive decision, said, hey, rather than having a sprawling out campus, let's have a really nice, dense urban city hall. So they had about half their site left. So they knew for future development that'd be a nice add to the project rather than just using for additional parking for their facility. So we've got essentially about 140 unit senior housing project that'll be going up just to the east of City Hall.
Go through these public space slides real briefly. Obviously, with the density that we're promoting here in Drexel Town Square, we have to have some areas for open space and recreation. This first slide is our Emerald Preserve, which is about an 18-acre preserve with unique stormwater management features and really some cutting-edge engineering in terms of stormwater management. Secondly is our 1-acre town square. You can see the City Hall Library right off the back, and then the Forge and Flare and all the other activity of the main street is to the, I guess, we're to the south here of the town square. We've established a tourism commission and hired a destination marketing specialist. We will be populating this area with special events, concerts, beer, wine, food trucks, all that cool urban stuff that helps fill a community, but more importantly, helps generate traffic to our new businesses and help them succeed. And an idea, there's a very popular splash pad, also attached to Drexel Town Square. And this is all that we've been talking about. This is all in Drexel Town Square. So one of our significant challenges that we will find, what I'm charged with, is what's our next big thing in Oak Creek. So here's the Drexel Town Square as it sits. I believe this is from last fall.
So an Oakview Business Park, we'll just kind of highlight this. One of the things we were asked to talk about was, hey, what's in the city for great opportunities for contractors to work with. Many times when developers come in and they build a business park, they're going to want to be the only ones to be able to control development in there. But one thing in Oakview Business Park, if general contractors have clients that they're working with, we will gladly sell you land to work with your clients and get them in there into the park. So it's not a developer exclusive park like many of them are today. We've got several land sites in the park. It's available for buildings as small as 20,000 square feet and facilities up to 250,000 to 300,000 square feet can be there as well. Great I-94 access and a very strong pro-business community.
So what's next in the city of Oak Creek? Well, we were fortunate enough to land an IKEA store first in Wisconsin. I know everybody's aware that's going in. Opening, groundbreaking later on in the month of June here coming up, and then a formal store opening still on schedule for summer of 18. Obviously a huge catalyst for future development, and here's the overview of where that actually is. Now, here's some more serendipity for the city of Oak Creek. We have a development partner by the name of Northwestern Mutual who owns about 142 acres around the IKEA site. As you know, IKEA being a significant traffic generator, we're positioned to have a significant commercial, retail, and residential mixed-use development around the IKEA store as well, with our partnership, pending future partnership with Northwestern Mutual. Just a crazy, play in our playbook that really can't be replicated with that partner. Like I mentioned earlier, we opened up our lakefront. I just want to go through these really quickly. We're hopefully establishing our tax increment district 13 on May 16th. That's the council action plan for that evening. There's 156 acres owned in the lakefront. And this was an industrial wasteland for 90 years. And most of, if not all of the buildings immediately in play have been raised, and the site has been ready for development. Significant investment in environmental remediation on the site. And we are ready to go with getting this tax increment district in place. We've started with some park construction of Lake Vista Park just this year, featuring a ton of state-of-the-art park features, bluff lookouts, pavilions open to the bluff, all with beautiful potentials we have on the lakefront. And I won't get too far into that, just to leave some more time for our friends in Pleasant Prairie, but I do want to, and I think I'm going to have to start this. I do want to. This is kind of the culmination of what we've been on our journey for the last 15 or so years. Nate even got a little cameo in one of those. You were an extra, but no, really appreciate you listening and listening to our story. We're always very happy to tell it. So,
Thank you, Andrew and Nate. That was a great presentation. I just have one quick question for you. What do you think the factors are that make Oak Creek such a great place for development?
I think generally speaking, I touched on it a little bit, but we were rightly situated for this development boom anyway, and we really just harnessed it. The political leadership has been key. We had a lot of folks, as you will in any Renaissance situation. We had a very large contingency in the community that always wanted it to stay what it was, and the leadership cast that aside and really moved forward despite some opposition. We had a split vote, and the mayor had to break the tie on moving our civic center and city hall library to the Drexel Town Square. So that's how close some of these things came and how contentious some of them were, but I think we just put our head down. That leadership piece and the partnership piece has been the most significant leg up.
I think we have maybe one note to highlight overall is just in the general metro area. Historically, a lot of growth to the north, a lot of growth to the west of the town. Just as you become more built up in those areas, the growth south is kind of forthcoming. So Oak Creek's at the right time to take advantage of that.
Great. Well, I certainly appreciate it, and the wife is going to appreciate it. So thanks. Now I'll turn it over to President Prairie, Uline, and the Kenosha Chamber to talk about what you guys have been up to.
Pleasant Prairie is a relatively young community. We were incorporated in 1989, and I started there in 1985. But we have a common similarity with Oak Creek that we're both power plant communities. The power plant was built in Pleasant Prairie, started in the late 70s, and it was one of the most fortunate things that happened in the village was one, it stopped the landfill from going in that same site. And we had a common vision with the town at the time to create industrial park around the power plant. And for as often as people chastise them, if you go to Pleasant Prairie or even Oak Creek, there's an amazing amount of development that does occur within eyeshot and earshot of these power plants. In 1989, when I started in 85, the town board at the time was really pushing to have development occur, and we had a plan to make it happen. In my first year there was one house built in the township. We were 11,000 people then. They came in on a truck, and they planted it on a foundation. And the four largest taxpayers after the power plant in Pleasant Prairie were farmers. So it was a really rural community. We, with the help of Wispark, Kenosha County, CABA's predecessor, we started the process to incorporate, and we created our first TIF district in 1989. TIFs were set to go for 20 years. And that was the northern half of our Lakeview Corporate Park. It retired in 10 years. It was one of the fastest retirement TIFs. We created a second TIF in 2002. We've made 6 amendments to it because the growth and the change has been so rapid, we've had to make changes to it. Next year, the beginning of next year is going to be the last year we're going to make expenditures. And the village will have made $177 million in improvements in the before it's done. The added tax base will be roughly $670 million for the TIF 2 area. Just a lay of the land. This is the village master plan. And the things that we've done today or recently within the last 5 years, 6 years especially, it's kind of the quick stuff you see, but in essence, it takes a community a long time to lay the groundwork and get the foundation built to be able to have development. This land use plan has really not changed very much since 1965 when we were a town. You can see that gray area in the middle, that's Lakeview Corporate Park. That's the industrial area of the village. And you can see the yellow areas and the kind of beige areas around it. We have we've kept a the industrial away from the residential, and the residential away from the industrial, and we have very few conflicts that occur between when you have infill development or you have residential properties surrounding it, especially industrial development. Back in 1995, I-94 is that black line. I'm not sure what one it is. Oh, here's it right here. You can see. This is I-94. This is 165. This is Lakeview Corporate Park. It's kind of chopped up, but this is the original TIF district, and then this is the second one that was built out there. But on I-94, if you can think back to times you went down to Chicago, it was a pretty rough area in Pleasant Prairie. My police chief was on a cruise one time in the Caribbean. He went to a comedy show, and they had a comedian there from Chicago, and he says, "Who's from Chicago?" And a bunch of people were yelling and screaming. And he said, "What is it with Wisconsin? When you go up Wisconsin, you're on 94, and then as soon as you cross the state line, it's cheese shops and adult bookstores." He said they want to make you horny and constipated at the same time. And it was a sorry group of land uses we had between a couple of adult bookstores, an old broken down trucking yard, a fireworks stand, an old RV parking lot, a mink farm, and then some people with houses in amongst them that were trying to sell their places and couldn't. And we had a planning commission, and the upshot of that plan was unless the village cleaned up that area, annexed it and cleaned it up, nothing was going to happen. So annexations began in '95. The Community Development Authority spent roughly $14 million acquiring the blighted properties. We got them removed, and it wasn't long after that that Abbott Laboratories bought that northwest corner there, which is 458 acres for an expansion of their Chicago campus. It was set to employ 12,000 people. They actually designed the site, all the sewers and water down the footings, the inward elevations for the services, the architectural style for the buildings, and then recorded it as a restriction on their deeds. They were all set to go, and it's different than the developer doing it, because they just looked at it as when we're ready, we're going to grow there, and we'll do it when we're ready, and that's it. So that was in like 2005, and we spent a year putting the agreement together, the improvements, and for what they would need around that site, and it sat. And in the meantime, we had the Great Recession. Abbott split between Abbott and AbbVie, so there's a lot of business moves happening. And luckily, the village, in a meeting with them, made the proposal that would you be interested in selling it, and they said they would. And so we're going to close on that next week on the 15th. We're purchasing that 458 acres for $37.5 million. And I think so that's putting some land in together is really important and getting improvements. The other thing that was important to the village, and I really think it's important to any city that's surrounding a metropolitan area, is that unless you can control your sewer and water utilities and be able to deliver sewer and water to your community and provide for growth, you're not going to go anywhere. As I said, Pleasant Prairie, back when we incorporated, we were about 12,000 people, and we had some wells with radium in it. We had a couple sewage plants that weren't very big. And for us to do what we had to do, we needed to make a connection to the city of Kenosha for their Lake Michigan water, because we have radium in the well water, and be able to have the wastewater go back to Kenosha, because the subcontinental divide divides the village in half, and so we have to get that done. We were able to get approval from the Great Lakes governors back in 95, and that enabled us to do it. We really tried to think as big as we could at that time. You know, if we'd have been a little bit smarter, we would have thought bigger, but we took a look at the geography of the area, and we have Lake Michigan water over, that can service about 38 square miles. And Our water system is designed to be able to provide 21 million gallons a day, and the sewer is roughly the same. And we have an agreement with the city of Kenosha that fixes it, that we can get it when we want it. We're going to pay the same rate as the Kenosha people do, and it's going to raise the boat for everybody if we're able to grow and have that sewer and water. It was a difficult negotiation, but it was the best thing we ever did. Today, we're using, on average, 3.5 million gallons of water. So we have plenty of water to provide service to anybody. One of the newer companies that we're working with is Haribo from Germany, and they're looking to acquire 135 acres from the village to place their North American facilities in it's really North and South American facilities. Right now they're only in Europe and Turkey, and they ship their product abroad. That'll happen here. So, and they are a large water user, so it pays dividends every day. Niagara water bottling is located in the village. We were easy to handle the flows that they needed for that facility. Just a short term, what the growth in value is, just a couple of years, most recent years. Residential has been pretty small, multifamily is small, commercial along Highway 50 has been growing, and it's been a fortunate development for us and a little bit unfortunate for the developer. They started that again pre-recession. A lot of residential housing around the area. He lost the development to the bank. The developer picked it up, and most of the public improvements were already in, and we didn't have to tip that or do anything. And it's a really successful commercial development on Highway 50. So that's been going, as you can see, we're pushing about 42 million. But our manufacturing is just rocketed the last few years. And we've really been working on, in our zoning, Lakeview Corporate Park has a warehouse zoning and the outside manufacturing zoning. You do one or the other, but we're in our other areas, we're working for it's a broad-based zoning concept that allows for office, some retail, but manufacturing. And it limits warehouses that don't have a good employee to floor to space ratio. And that's been a key development for us, and it's going to keep going. So, okay, so if but all this doesn't happen in the void. I mean, it's one, good partnerships again with the county and COB, our business relationship, and then I'm hoping, we don't go out and attract people. I mean, we try and set the table so it looks good when you're here, and then when people come, we try to establish the best working relationship with someone who wants to locate their business here, be as straightforward and get everything on the table that needs to get on the table, so there's no misunderstandings. Everybody knows what they have to do, and be able to get the project done as fast as they can. A lot of developers that are coming, or businesses that are coming in, they're ready to go. They've been going through the decision process. They know what they need to get, and what they want to be able to do is take that plan and get it in action and have it happen. And the developer of the facility or the land, they want to make sure it happens, and they don't have to pay more money, especially if they're going to be leasing the land too. So that's one of the things we work for. And then when some companies there, we try to do everything we can to support them. Whether it's for their expansion or they got day-to-day problems. So our economic development policy goals, our long-term vision is to make the village sustainable. Every community in Wisconsin is under a levy limit. You can't raise taxes if you need more money. So you got to be able to find a way to live in what you have. We feel that expanding our commercial manufacturing base is going to help spread the load out financially for existing residential property owners. The average home in the village right now pays $907 a year to the village. For police, fire, public works, everything that we need there, capital replacement of roads and things like that. And we know we can't raise that very much, so we have to expand our tax base to be able to do that. We also need to provide a good quality of life. We've worked really hard in the area of recreation. We slowly built a recreation center with the help of this park and Uline and some other contributors to build a 300,000 square feet municipal rec center. It's actually the largest municipal rec center in the country. And it really accommodates community sports. The inside the corporate park. You know, the community businesses have teams that play volleyball together, basketball. They even have some an ankle breakers hockey league where they play get after work and they go and beat the snot out of each other with playing hockey. And we think being diversified and pushing on those things helps us create a financially resilient community. That's my quick slides. Who's next?
Years old, and we have been in Wisconsin only since 2009. And candidly, we kind of went to Wisconsin and Pleasant Prairie a little bit kicking and screaming. We've spent about 2 years looking around Lake County, Illinois. We were headquartered near Abbott Park in the Waukegan community, so we were looking for several hundred acres for expansion purposes. We're a high-growth company, so we had a need for larger offices and a 1 million plus square foot facility warehouse. So we looked and looked and looked in Illinois, and I think partly what Mike joked about, the stigma of, well, do we really want to go to Wisconsin? It's a lot of cheese shops and other shops, and is this a community we want to go to? Will we be able to hire there? Will we get good, high-quality support from the community? We kind of reluctantly crossed the line and looked in Wisconsin, and we still reflect as a company that was one of the best decisions we've made as a company in our 37 years. We found a 200-plus acre site. The site Mike had up on the board just south of where the German candy company is going, the former Abbott site. We bought 200 acres to the south of that and put our corporate offices there in about a 300,000 square foot building, and we put a 1 million plus square foot warehouse there. Very easy to work with. The leadership of the community. The thing that really strikes me is we showed up in 2009. Mike was there, greeted us at the border, has worked with us every day since then. And the Pleasant Prairie president, John Steinbrink, was there. The CABA chairman, or the president of CABA, Todd Battle, was there. Jim Cruiser, the county exec, was there. Just very stable leadership when we showed up and holding our hand all the way through the process. Every community says we want to be an easy place to do business, and Pleasant Prairie is an unbelievably easy place to do business. It's not easy. Buying 200 acres, greenfield, yes, it was shovel ready and it was in pretty good shape, but putting in a 300,000 square foot office and a 1 million plus square foot warehouse, not an easy project. We received just ridiculously great support from the community. And I could say a lot of words about how happy we are being in Pleasant Prairie and Kenosha County, but I think the best comment I can make is we're voting with our wallet in that we are expanding our campus. We bought another couple hundred acres. We're adding a second corporate office building of just under 300,000 square feet, so we'll have 2 large office facilities there. We added a second over 1.1 million square foot warehouse in addition to our initial 1 million square foot warehouse at that same campus across just south of Abbott, right next to I-94, just as you're sneaking up on the Illinois-Wisconsin border. And then we bought another site, not in Pleasant Prairie, but still in Kenosha County. It's in the city of Kenosha. If you're familiar with where the large Amazon facility is at off of I-94 in Kenosha, we're just to the west on the other side of I-94, where we have bought a couple hundred acres there for some additional very large facilities, warehouses, and we're going to be moving our Waukegan operations up to the city of Kenosha. So we're investing heavily in the community. Why is that? I mentioned the stable leadership. I mentioned fantastic shovel-ready sites sitting right on I-94. I mentioned it's very pro-business, but a unified community, a lot of energy in the community. Probably our biggest surprise is the quality of the workforce. That was probably the thing we were most nervous about going to the Kenosha community? Would we still be able to access great employees in the Chicagoland area? Would we be able to penetrate the Milwaukee market and bring people down to the border to work for us? Would we be able to hire and staff up? We've got about 2,500 people working in Kenosha County on a daily basis, 2,500 people. Could that market support it? And we've been delighted with our ability to hire in that community. It's a very easy place to do business. And I think along with the ease of hiring and the quality of the workforce, just the quality of life has really surprised us in the Pleasant Prairie Kenosha marketplace. You know, we mentioned the Recplex, but there's a lot of things like that it kind of sneaks up on you. When we moved there, we were kind of surprised at the high quality of restaurants and parks and the Recplex and other things like that, museums. It really is a nice place that our employees have enjoyed relocating to and buying homes in that community. So we're delighted with the community. We're glad to be expanding there. And with that, I'll turn it over to Lou Molitor.
Thank you, Frank. I always start off my presentations to people at events saying that it's a great day to be in Kenosha County. And indeed it is, because we have a lot of things going on and a lot of things that we can brag about. I've been with the Chamber for 9 years, a lifelong resident of Kenosha. And I started at the Chamber in 2008. I think you remember what happened in 2008. It was not a very good time for businesses here throughout the whole country. And I've seen Kenosha kind of fall down a little bit in that time, and all of a sudden now we have this resurgence of economic activity and all sorts of things. People are moving into Kenosha, in Kenosha County. I think Kenosha right now, with all due respect to our friends in Green Bay, I think we're the third largest city in the state right now, next to Milwaukee and Madison. So, and we don't even have a football team in Kenosha. That's okay. One of the things that you should have received, or you will receive in your pack, is a directory from the Chamber of Commerce. And a useful thing in that directory is a map of Kenosha County, both the city and the villages, and I think you can use that if you come down to Kenosha and explore what's going on. One of the things that I think leads to our success in Kenosha is that we have a tremendous amount of collaboration between all the leadership, as Frank alluded to, and Mike also. With CABA, the Kenosha Area Business Alliance, which is the economic engine for Kenosha County, the Kenosha Area Convention Visitors Bureau, the Chamber, and all the municipalities working together, we seem to be more on the same page than not on the same page as far as development in Kenosha County. We have a group that meets regularly called Kenosha County Partners that looks at what we can do in order to continue the economic development and the success of Kenosha. A large part of that is our retail exploration and development. Recently, the Kenosha County Partners Group formed a subcommittee and looked at hiring a consultant to work with the municipalities in Kenosha County. Some of you may know him as Larry Kildoff, this is his name, from JLL. And he is working with the county to, and municipalities especially, to find retail businesses that would fit within those communities. We're looking at going to the ICSC conference coming up in Vegas in order to represent Kenosha County and hopefully bring some big name retailers into the county, into various municipalities. The Chamber prides itself in highlighting what I like to call Kenosha, signature Kenosha retailers. We have a number of them. Some of you may see driving down the interstate. Mark's Cheese Castle is probably the biggest one that you see. And Andrea's is a 100-year-old business in Kenosha. Tenuda's, most people have heard of Tenuda's Delicatessen. S.J. Crystal's, Uke's Harley Davidson. All those businesses are signature Kenosha County retailers, and we're hoping to expand on that also. Throughout the last 20-25 years, Kenosha County has lost a lot of manufacturing, large manufacturing. We lost AMC, Chrysler, Snap-on, McWhite, a couple other fairly large manufacturers. We have right now in our central city about 100 acres, a little more than 100 acres of land where the old Kenosha Chrysler engine plant was. That's being cleaned up as far as the soil, and hopefully by 2018 that'll be all cleaned up. At that point, we're looking, what are we going to do with 100 acres right in the center of the city? And some of the leading ideas is to make it into some sort of a accelerator and incubator for small businesses. The mayor of Kenosha shares a similar vision to what I have, is that small business development in Kenosha is very, very important. We love getting the big companies with 100, 200, 300, 400,000 jobs, but if we can get a number of small businesses to develop and move, relocate or locate in Kenosha, all those jobs eventually add up too, and that's very important to the overall economic success of Kenosha County. Right now, we're looking at being somewhere maybe a little bit north of 4% as far as unemployment, and that's one of the challenges in Kenosha. I mean, if you want a job in Kenosha County, you can probably get a job in Kenosha County. The people that aren't working maybe aren't really seriously looking for a job, but we are looking for employees, and I know that companies like Uline and Amazon and all the other major companies struggle with finding enough employees sometimes to fill all their needs. And we're hoping to not only attract employees to come to Kenosha, but keep our employees here, keep our youth here, by developing some of the things that keep our millennials in the county. And people get a great education in Kenosha County. They have good quality of life. They're able to go to school. If they're entrepreneurs, to develop their product and everything else. But then they seem to want to go to the East Coast or the West Coast or down south and make their zillions of dollars. And then maybe come back to Kenosha in the twilight of their career, because it's a nice place to live. We want to make sure that we keep the young people in Kenosha. We want to develop our downtown, which we're starting to have some success right now. We are a Main Street in downtown Kenosha. We have an executive director that we just hired for the Main Street with an organization, Downtown Kenosha, Inc. And we're hoping to develop downtown more and have those shops and breweries and restaurants and all those things that the millennials are really looking for as far as moving to Kenosha and enhancing their quality of life. The Chamber is fortunate to have one of our staff be the executive director of the Tri-County Contractors Association. She's involved in their meetings and in their labor negotiations. Pulse of what's happening with the contractors in the Tri-County area, Racine County, Kenosha County, and Walworth County. You know, I firmly believe that there's enough economy and population and money and leadership in the region between Chicago and Milwaukee to have that area become the 51st state. And of course, Kenosha would be the capital of that state, but there's just a lot of things booming to our north, to Oak Creek and every place else, and even down south to along the lakeshore. There's just a lot of activity that we're in a very good place. Kenosha also has what I call, well, we have a number of grocery stores right now. It seems like every time we turn around, there's a new grocery development in Kenosha, which makes it very interesting and competitive for our grocers. We have Meyer Foods came in with a store and warehouse. Kroger purchased Roundy's and they have a presence in Kenosha County. Festival, Woodman's, Fresh Time, Piggly Wiggly, all these. For a community of 100,000, we have a lot of grocery stores there. So I guess you can save some money going grocery shopping in Kenosha County. With our colleagues from CAVA, as Frank mentioned and Mike, the economic engine of Kenosha County, we're able to attract over $1 billion in investment in the last few years, over 3,000 jobs, brand new jobs that have opened up. Companies like Uline, Amazon, Canal Manufacturing, Good Food, Haribo's coming in with their gummy bears. Everybody likes gummy bears. Well, you know, we have jelly beans and gummy bears in Kenosha County, so that's kind of cool. Jockey, Niagara Water, Arians opened up in Summers, which is a village in Kenosha. Of course, Snap-on and Ocean Spray, just to name a few. Retail-wise, we have the premier outlets and the shops at Pleasant Prairie, as well as the downtown development. The big thing is the quality of life. Why come to Kenosha County? Well, we're centrally located between Milwaukee and Chicago. We have a fairly reasonable cost of living. We have good education. We have great, stable leadership. We have plenty of parks and recreational activities, many lakes. We are developing downtown, and pretty soon that's going to be the emerald of Kenosha, as soon as we get that all going. So we have a lot going for us, and I think the future looks very bright for Kenosha. Thank you.
Thank you for that great discussion, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Are there any questions for anybody in the panel? Yes, Dan Shaw.
I was just curious, I guess a question for both groups. The guys from Oak Creek, I was curious how many people worked at that Delphi plant. If you had any indication of have they been able to find, or if you just have an estimate of where they've gone on to work since it closed. And then for the folks from Pleasant Prairie, I was pretty astonished by the figures that you showed on the growth in manufacturing. And I was curious what manufacturers you've managed to attract.
There was a significant wind down of the plant over the probably decade and a half leading up to the actual plant closure. So there was a tapering of that. So it wasn't hugely impactful like the Janesville GM plant or something along those lines. I don't recall how many employees, but it was obviously our biggest employer and sustained the Oak Creek community for a significant period of time. But I don't know. I don't even have a ballpark for you on the number of employees. It was in the thousands.
In Pleasant Prairie, for the growth of manufacturing, Uline, leads the group with almost a couple thousand people in value. In fact, I think you guys are going to be the largest taxpayer in the county this coming year. But we've also had Niagara Foods, another company called Good Foods. Go to Costco, and if you get their guacamole, it's really good. They make it there. They have the trucks, separate trucks, and bringing avocados to Pleasant Prairie, hummus, and some other fruit drinks. Then we've had some actual expansion of existing companies. Like Fair Oaks Farms has built another facility. They process sausage for Walmart, for Burger King, some of the businesses like that. And Senko, they make respirator equipment for firefighters in the mining community. They've done an expansion. Those are probably some of the key ones, but they've all been pretty good jobs, and they're all really going at it. And in one case, they retrofitted an old building, and the rest of them were in construction.
Good. Anybody else with questions?
Yes, sir.
Just for Frank, when you guys moved out of Illinois, made that decision, I imagine they tried to, Waukegan or Lake County tried to hang on to your business down there. Are you seeing, or are other companies contacting you? I know you're one of the first ones that really made a presence down along the border there coming over to Wisconsin. Do you have a lot of other companies from Illinois and other states contacting you? And you foresee that continuation of companies kind of moving north because of all the advantages?
We partner closely with the community and Todd Battle and Kava, and for example, the gummy bear company Haribo, when they were scouting the area, making the decision to locate in Pleasant Prairie, they came to Uline, met at our offices. We had the opportunity to talk about why we moved, what our experience was like, how the construction process go, what are our likes, dislikes, how do we feel about the community, how's hiring been for us. So pretty regularly we get pulled into some of those conversations in which we're just allowed the opportunity, just us and the company considering a move, to just talk about what our experience has been like. And of course, as I said previously, we're kind of voting with our wallet. We're expanding in the area, so we are a delighted company located in Wisconsin. And we really have no ill will towards Lake County and Illinois. They were quite restricted in terms of shovel-ready sites, especially shovel-ready sites close to I-94. So when we went looking for a couple hundred acres, they worked hard to try to pull together some nice parcels for us. But again, we crossed the border, and here Mike had several hundred acres already ready to start construction. Lake County, Illinois just didn't have that. So I'd say, you know, Pleasant Prairie and Kenosha County were ahead of the curve in just having great sites available for companies like us, or the Gummy Bear Company, or Amazon, or many, many, many other companies, just so that you could get in there and start constructing almost immediately. Huge competitive advantage.
Great. Any other questions from this side of the room only? No, I'm just kidding.
A question for Frank and Mike. So in finding employees, have you set up partnerships with local tech community colleges or high schools to help with finding those employees? I'd like to hear a little bit about that.
Sure. I'll make 2 points, and then I'll allow Mike or Lou to jump in. Point number 1, there are 22,000 Kenosha residents every day who go to work outside of Kenosha. It has largely been a bedroom community, and people drive most frequently.
I see some of those people coming back. So it's really even starting at that 9th grade level and working up and getting, you know, kids used to, you know, what can happen, you know, with the STEM education and what we do and what happens in the village. But again, it takes a group. It really takes the low tech and the area colleges and municipalities to the extent we can, and making sure that people want to live here because it's a nice place to live.
Absolutely. In addition to what Frank and Mike had said, a number of organizations, including the Chamber, works with the high schools to get them involved with manufacturing and colleges in Kenosha County. For the last 4 years, the Chamber has a program called Business Education Partners Program, where we take high school students, freshmen on up, and transport them to our 4 colleges in Kenosha County, plus so far 5 different manufacturers, businesses in Kenosha, including Keno Manufacturing, Uline, Ocean Spray, Bradshaw Medical. I think there was another one I can't remember right now, but nonetheless, the students are transported there throughout in the school day, spend an hour either on a tour and a workshop at the businesses, or participate in an actual college course with a college instructor in order to get information as to what they should do after their high school career, whether they go to college or whether they want to be in manufacturing. Today's manufacturing is a lot different than it was 20 years ago. My dad worked at Snap-on for 30 years. I remember him coming home all dirty and tired because it was pretty hard work in the foundry and the lead, as a lead man in the heat treat department. But nowadays, many manufacturers have such sophisticated equipment that it's almost like playing a glorified video game for many of the kids. And you can have a nice living, make your 50, 55, or whatever $1,000 a year, work 30 years, retire up north, go fishing, and have a great career. With the one stumbling block is that mom and dad don't think that not going to college is good and that working in a manufacturer maybe isn't sexy. But you know, times are changing. People are changing their thoughts processes, and I think we need to work with 9th graders, even 8th graders on up, and get them to be familiar with what manufacturers we have, what businesses we have, and also the colleges too. Herzing, Carthage, Gateway, UW Parkside, they're all great colleges that provide great curriculum to prepare young people for all sorts of careers.
Any other questions? Anybody else?
My question is for Andrew and Nate. Somebody like Delphi who left and then transitioned jobs to China or the Renosa, as you guys have developed that community again, and it looks like something similar to you see in Dallas or outside of Atlanta, have you gone back to some of those companies and presented yourself with the things that you've done to reorganize that area and make it more attractive to them to come back?
Not really. I wouldn't. Sorry. You know, we really haven't circled back. We have not lost a lot of manufacturing. We have not lost a lot of presence from our manufacturing sector in the city of Oak Creek. It's actually thriving, and we're adding, with Oakview Business Park and some things we want to do along the lakefront. We're positioned well for continued development there. We have not circled back and did a nana boo-boo, if you will, on those folks. But because they're really, that was rare, and that was the automotive industry, and that was, the mid-2000s. So that was a rather unique departure for the city of Oak Creek. Sure.
Anybody else? Going once, twice?
All right, thank you, gentlemen, for the fascinating discussion. Appreciate it.